So feeling a little under the weather, so I decided to try out something different. I got a couple buddies that are playing in RCQs this weekend, and I figured this is kind of my attempt to help them test a little bit, because Temur Murktide is a deck that's popping up a lot on Magic Online and might be something that they run into or they might be considering playing. So I thought I'd run it through, see what happens. If you haven't seen the shell, it's basically the blue-red Murktide shell, splashing green for 4 copies of Questing Druid, the new 2-drop from the Wilds of Eldraine set. So the red adventure side, 2-mana instant, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You can play them until the end of your next end step. And then the green side, the 1/1 body that gets a +1/+1 counter whenever you cast a white, blue, black, or red spell. So in Murktide, everything outside of Questing Druid is a blue-red spell, blue or red spell. So it's always going to get a counter on everything else that you cast, except for more Questing Druids. You get to play all the cards that have made Murktide good over the last year and a half, however long it's been. Expressive Iteration, Ragavan, Darcy, Spell Pierce, Counterspell, Unholy Heat, Murktide, blah, 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 blah. I think everybody's well aware of the general shell. The downside of going to this Temur Splash is you are a little bit worse against Blood Moon, and you're a little less able to play your own Blood Moons. This list, opting for one in the sideboard, you can play Questing Druid off Ragavan tokens if need be, or cast it out before you play a Blood Moon. So we'll see if that comes out. But the old lists are often running like 3 copies of Island, basic Island. So they're really able to play out from under their own Blood Moons, where this version seems to be cutting down to 2 islands, meaning you would need both of those if you want to counterspell Murktide for Subtlety under Blood Moon. But we'll see how it goes. I've played blue-red Murktide fairly recently. I have never tried out this Temur version before, so no idea how this is going to go. Play 2 sideboard Blood Moons, or I don't think you're beating Tron Titan 4-color. Probably not. Like, when I play blue-red Murktide, I like it 2 Blood Moons or a Blood Moon and a Magus. I think the Magus is really nice. This version looks so bad in the leagues. That's what we're here to find out. I did see another list that had, like, Ledger Shredders. And I think if I was going to play the deck at like just a random event, that's the version I would go with. So I think Ledger Shredder is really good at helping to kind of mitigate the awkward draws. All right, so we got turn 1 Channeler. We can force or Subtlety if we need to, and then use Seek the Beast to help regain some of that lost card advantage. Don't think Shredder is very good. I do. I think the card's very, very underrated. Got ourselves a mirror match. Yeah, that's fine. Isn't coincidence that Bowmaster was printed, Murktide cut Shredder and tanked in play. Murktide jumps back up now that Shredder is back. I mean, I think like Shredder being a threat that doesn't just die to like a Bowmaster ETB is relevant. Because I mean, if you have any sort of grave hate on the opposing side, then all of a sudden you have like 6, 7, 8 1-mana plays that just instantly die to Bowmaster. All of the Storm Giants. So, are we expecting a counter spell? We're going for this regardless. Counterspell of our own. A little bit of an awkward hit off of our druid. Well, I want to play this Spire Bluff Canal. Nope. Keep another Preordain. And just say go. Plan on Seek the Beast again. Then maybe next turn we go like Questing Druid plus Preordain. Seek the Beast does look pretty awkward in counterspell decks, doesn't it? We got a Questing Druid, a Darcy, and a Mishra's Bauble. Alright. Let's go Questing Druid. Dress down my Questing Druid. You got it. Lose some counters, but I still get to cast out my spells, so... Counterspell. Okay. Go ahead and do this. I really care about you, but I do want you. Okay. See what they got. We do have a Delirium enabled Channeler now. You know, they're drawing into a counter spell. Sure. But we are kind of pulling ahead on cards a little bit. All right. Do we want to dash the Ragavan? I could also just like play Questing Druid, play Ragavan. Murktide is currently a 5/5, plus they have counterspell, so we're not going that route. I could lead on Iteration to try to bait the counterspell and get the Ragavan. I think I'm just going Questing Druid. Alright. They're going to counter that. Let's dash Ragioli. Archmage's Charm. Oh. Wish I had a little more mana for that. But that's pretty okay. It's like we do have, again, the subtlety, the force negation, so we can kind of fight over anything that they've got going on. Force negation on their side. So I might... I was thinking about, like, hard casting Ragavan and then subtlety on their turn. See what we find first. Spell Snare, Questing Druid. Well, I kind of like both of these. Force Negation on top. 4 unknowns in hand. Let's... Questing Druid on top. Draw into Spell Snare. And I'll just cast out Ragavan. Force Negation, potentially. 3 unknowns, potentially. No Force Negation. Gonna counterspell Ragavan. Okay, now I kind of want to get down this Murktide. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 7/7, so it does dodge Unholy Heat. Blue. Go. And again, we got Force Negation on their turn. And Subtlety. In case maybe they go for a Murktide. This is 6 to get online, so I don't have to worry about that this turn. And I think I'm just going to pass. Keep up Subtlety and Force. I don't think I really have a need to force any actions here. They're kind of the ones that have to do something. Yep. So it looked pretty sweet being able to kind of outgrind there. What do I think they're on? Blue-red. Flame of Anor would make sense. Hull of the Storm Giants would make me assume it's more of like a control build, less of a Murktide or aggressive build, something like that. I like Mystical Dispute and Spell Pierce. I don't know if they have Snapcaster, but they had main deck Dress Down, so Snapcaster is a little less likely. Subtlety could be good. The extra Rag could be good. I'll kind of use game 2 to feel out how much red they, or how much blue they have, like basic islands. See if maybe I want to bring in Blood Moon on the play, but probably not. Force Negation. Like, I have seen plenty of blue-red decks that just played like a ton of non-basic lands, and Blood Moon would actually get them because they have things like Archmage's Charm and Counterspell, whatnot, that are heavy blue. And there's a chance they might just not be able to cast those things. We saw Hull of the Storm Giants. That dodges like all of my removal. Maybe I'll keep in a couple Unholy Heat in case of like a Planeswalker. But I'm not so excited about Lightning Bolt. Go like this. I might get got by some random thing like Thing in the Ice or some creature I'm not expecting, but that's why we got game 3. Basic Island. We're expecting a Stern Scolding. kind of was. Orion revealed. Probably means they kept a one lander and they just saw the next two. Pretty big tempo swing to like tap off of a counter spell. Spiral Bluff Canal. Make them keep dealing with these Ragavans. Yep. Playing Murktide is gross. It does take a little bit of mental fortitude. This is something I really don't like doing. I feel like a lot of the times in not necessarily just Murktide decks, but like kind of these low land count, high cantrip decks, you spend so many turns cantripping in situations where like you have to hit a land. And I really don't like that. I'd rather hit the lands and then cantrip to like flip over more lands, get through them, and find actual live spells. And I shouldn't feel that way, because at the end of the day, like, if the cantrip's hitting something you need, then it's a good cantrip, right? We're not mental fortitude players, Mike. I'm disappointed. I'll take that L. What do we got? Little Murktide. They are on Murktide. Make you jealous by saying I have Chick-fil-A. That does in fact make me jealous. I'm not gonna lie. All right. What am I doing here about an opposing Murktide? I could... Like, my goal needs to be to get my Murktide bigger than their Murktide. So I think I'm going to play out this Channeler, plan to Seek the Beast. Seek the Beast on their end step. Try to flip over an extra instant, sorcery, something. Because I can always play Murktide to get rid of Channeler's forced attack here. Kind of thinking they had a second Murktide there. Might help if I tap correctly. 1, 2, 3. My Merc's currently a 6/6. An expressive iteration and a counter spell. Bolt my Ragavan. Okay. Two cards left. All right, let's try for the iteration, see what we find. We need like a bolt, a preordained something. That's okay, because that means our Murktide at least trades with their Murktide. Let's get our extra damage in. I could Pierce to get in the yard, but I kind of want to hold on to this Pierce in case their last card is a counter spell or an Archmage's Charm. Tis not. What is this? Flame of Anor, you say? Flame of a no. What does that hit? Counterspell, expressive iteration. Gonna bin that. We can fix that. Bam. All right. Opponent's got a land. We've got a channeler that unfortunately has to attack, but yep. So I guess it's going to be a race to who can find a second Murktide. No. Bad. Get out of here. Could have been better. Let's see. 3 instants and sorceries in the yard. Expressive Iteration would be a great draw. Spire Bluff Canal, not so much. Gotta double check and make sure that Murktide Dragon's not a wizard. That'd be dope. Iteration. Iteration. Not bad. And I cannot express to you how quickly I will pay for Flusterstorm. Chandler's pretty not great in the face of this Murktide, so I think we're gonna bin that. Okay. We're doing stuff. Ooh. Think I'm just shipping this. Like, I don't want to have to attack in with my questing druid and risk them just like counterspelling the heat and I lose my druid. Okay. Subtlety will take. No. Please don't have a counter spell for the subtlety. I might cry. Maybe they're deciding if they want to put this on top or bottom. I think you just put this on top. Put it on the bottom. Never mind. Hard counterspell subtlety. Narset, Parter of Veils. This is our life now. Huh. Well then. This is a chilled out version of Pokemon music. I need this in my life. Where'd you find it? I got on YouTube and I searched copyright free video game music. And it's like one of the first links that shows up. And I have it on the background all the time because it's like 10 hours, no ads, bunch of cool songs. And you won't get a copyright strike from like YouTube. They've got an Archmage's Charm and an Unknown. Archmage's Charm, Unknown. So my immediate thought is just trade Murktides, and then I can like attack down the Narset next turn, hit them for 5, If I chump, then I run the possibility of like hitting a string of spells that let me kill them next turn. Like an iteration or something. But they have Archmage's Charm, so the likelihood of that happening is pretty low. I think we're just going to trade off Mercs. The last card is Archmage's Charm. Get rid of Narset. Main phase the Charm. Go digging. Iteration. It's pretty good. At least we have a clock. A little bit of protection for the clock. Maybe they just drew like a couple counter spells off that Archmage's Charm that are going to be a little dead. This is Snap Flame of Anor. Yep. That probably seals the deal for them, unfortunately. I think I would have to top deck like a Murktide or iteration into something right here. Like, Snap Flame of Anor is really, really good value when you get to that, like, mid to late part of the game. 5 mana, draw 2, kill something, have a 2/1 body. But at least now I know they're on Snapcaster, they're on Murktide. How do I want to change up my sideboard plan? Rest down looks better. Board back in some number of heats. How do I feel about Pierce? With like Narset, Archmage's Charm, Flame of Anor, I think Pierce is going to be fairly relevant. I'm just going to board out some Channelers. I don't think Snapcaster is enough to warrant Stern Scolding. I didn't see anything like Unlicensed Hearse, so Cast into the Fire. Hearse, EE, Chalice. Just roll with this. Turn 1 Ragioli with Force backup. Sign me up, Chief. And I'm just going to go for the second land over the channeler trigger. Oop. All right, so itch in the face, get a treasure, Narset. As much as I want that Narset, I think Counterspell Channeler a little bit better. So I get to protect the Ragavan. How do I resist? Because I've got a Ragavan. Ragavan makes it a lot easier to resist stuff that you shouldn't be resisting. Give myself delirium here. All right. No. Mutavault. Maybe I'm supposed to keep that, but it seems okay. Yeah, we're attacking both, so if they have like a subtlety or something to flash in, then we could still counterspell that, get the extra damage in. If they're just going Mutavault, then we take our 3. I haven't decided if I want this Unholy Heat yet. So I kind of want to wait. Like, if they play a Murktide here, I might just let it resolve, draw into the Unholy Heat, use that, and then hold up the counter spell. Boom! Ragavan busted. Ragavan backed up by Force of Negation. Even better. Really sweet match to kick things off, though. That exchange with the Snapcaster was crazy. It's just the power of Ragavan. Like, when you got a card like that and you can keep it alive for a few turns, look how much work it did. We could have had a Narset, but more importantly, we got to just, like, tempo them out, get all that extra mana. Let us double spell while they were flashing in naked Snapcasters. A pretty big deal. So we got round number 2. But like, one of the big questions I want to answer with this Temur build is this like actually making your bad matchups any better, or is it just making like your good matchups better? Because anytime you splash a third color, if it's not actually like solving a problem, then you're just kind of creating some stumble opportunities for yourself. So if Questing Druid is like really swinging, say, the scam matchup and the mirror and stuff like that, then that's a positive. But if you're just taking matchups that you were like already winning and making them more winning, probably not as necessary. Kevin, what's up? Unfortunately, this isn't Pioneer. I might play a Pioneer League today if I see a deck that looks interesting. I'm just going to hold up Spell Snare here. Snare / Consider. And it goes for a Tarmogoyf or something. Because they're lost in the sauce. Oop. Land? Nope. 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 Got it. Show me the grist. All right. Wait, there's no reason to, yeah, we'll just seek the beast. No reason to hold up Counterspell because the Delighted Halfling. The old Gristicles. Could counterspell the Blood Artist, but I think my priority needs to be finding an Unholy Heat for Grist. All right, so we bobble, iterate. Never mind, we were not destined to find lands or red removal spells in this game. But that's why we get a game 2 and hopefully 3. Stern Scolding, great. Curse Totem, great. Fury, great. Subtleties, okay. Cast in the Fire hits Cauldron. It's the One Ring. Maybe hits a Mana Dork. Dress Down's good. E's okay. Nothing special. Pierce bad. Counterspell's fine if they don't have Druid. Spell Snare is probably fine. Force bad. Rag bad. I still have one more cut. I'm just going to cut a Spell Snare. It hits Bowmaster, Wall of Roots. That 2-mana haste dude. Strangleroot Geist. Soul Cauldron. So no, it hits plenty. Maybe just one of my cantrips. Okay. Okay. Our goal is to assemble a big flyer. Our goal is to preordain from now until the end of time. Nope. Sure. Okay, because we're going to find... All right, Yawgmoth's a lot better for us. So many expressive iterations. Are there so many expressive iterations? Yep. Nope. Can't get Gristed this turn. We could get Soul Cauldroned. But with nothing in the graveyard that we really care about, that's not the worst deal at the moment. I could have kept the Subtlety, but I really don't think there's anything I care about subtletying right here. Bowmaster is pretty whatever. Subtlety to hand. Channeler to exile. Play the Channeler. Stay go. See what OP's got in store. I don't want a Subtlety at play here. Maybe find a 4th land and hard cast Subtlety on something next turn and have like a relevant flying clock. I will take 3. I will take 2. Get out of here. What's grist on top? Okay. Land? Land? No land? Good, though. Want a Stern Scolding. Exile Misty. Okay, so now we have to decide, are we... Because I could go, like, fetch up an island, bolt the Bowmaster, get Delirium online, and like attack in with the Channeler, hold up Stern Scolding. I don't hate that. I could attack in, see if they'll just like offer up this trade. Play Murktide as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 7. It's not terrible. I think I'm just going to go with the Bolt Stern Scolding line. Am I? Could also just like Bolt Face. Do I have a line that's lethal with Channeler, Murktide, Bolt next turn? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. No. Unless I iteration into another Bolt, but I only have 2. I like really want to get this Murktide down. So I think I'm going to offer the trade and then play the Murktide. Three, 4. Extra creature. I think the clock is just too good to pass up. Grist back on top. Upkeep will go Lightning Bolt them. Back in with Murktide. Play the second Channeler, say go. And if this is just cast Grist a third time, which they did put the Grist back on top, then we have Stern Scolding, and that should be lethal. Nice. So definitely rewarded for taking a little bit more of an aggressive line by just like 2 for 1ing ourselves a lot to deal with that Grist. But it pays off in the end. Can you really say it was a bad play? Yeah, I don't think I'm really changing anything up. Maybe I want to like cut the 4th Druid for the Preordain on the draw. Spell Pierce on the draw. Okay, but no. I think we're just going to run it. They kept 7. Not particularly thrilled. All right. Sketchy 7. If we ship it, I'm prepared for the unkeepable 6. Sketchy 7, unkeepable 6. Into 5. So if I keep fetch, channeler, bauble, second land, iteration, back dress down, questing druid. Opening 7 immediately looking better. All right. Counterspell's not bad. Maybe we can go like counterspell something next turn, iteration, maybe find like a stern scolding. Be able to double spell. Gonna have a tough time convincing me that they've got nothing here. Maybe an endurance. Takenuma. I did not even know that Yawgmoth played Takenuma. The things you learn. I got a Haywire Mite back. Don't really care about that. See if they've got a Bowmaster. They do not. That's a good draw. All right. Should we just play out the Murktide as a 4/4? I don't hate that. Murktide plus counterspell, be able to iteration next turn. Like, I know it's only a 4/4, but it still stands in the way of everything they've got. And then hopefully we can counterspell something, untap, iteration, maybe find another counterspell or stern scolding something. Here's our other counter spell. So we'll go counter spell to hand. Bobble to exile. I hate losing the Stern Scolding, but I think having the counter spell up is more important. Start getting our clock on. Okay. I do know they have a Bowmaster. We don't know the other three. Turn our way to second Merc and make the first one lethal. That's the kind of the plan right now. But yeah, it is just 2 Merc. I guess they figure with all the filtering and card draw that they'll be able to make use of it. I think I'm just gonna let this ping me. Off this Seek the Beast. Channeler Scolding. Alright. So we get to Channeler. Am I double Channeler? Would I rather just hold up, eat, and counterspell? Or counterspell and spell snare? Or would I rather second Channeler, Unholy Heat, counterspell? That's probably fine. Let's attack. Blasphemy to only have 2 Merc. I mean, I think if you're not running the questing druids, then like 3 Merc's great. Fatal Push my Channeler. I'm pretty okay with that because that means the second Channeler has Delirium. I don't need to do anything fancy for it. Now I just get to hold up Snare, Counterspell. Give another Fatal Push. Jeez. Bowman. Yep. I think if nothing changes, I'm winning the race. Because they attack for 3 here, put me to 5. I attack for 4, put them to 7. I draw Unholy Heat, kill off the Orc army. They hit me for 2. I hit them for 4, down to 3. They hit me for 2, down to 1. And then I hit them for lethal. So, yeah, lethal if nothing changes. Obviously asking quite a bit, but... Pull off a token. Hit me for 2. Another Murktide would also be lethal. Murktide, Lightning Bolt. It's always a grist when you don't want a grist. Now I kind of like have to top deck another Murktide. Murktide, Iteration, Questing Druid. I see the new removal. Oh, the black one that's like you can ditch a card or sack, or no, ditch a card or pay 3 life. Is that what it was? It looked fine. Like, I think if you're playing maybe Infernal Grasp or something, then it's a little bit, I don't know if I'd say strictly better, a little bit of like a side grade. Nope. Taga. Scavenging Ooze. That's pretty dope. Need something to stand in the way of this Yawgmoth. Technically stands in the way of a Yawgmoth. So... we attack at them, right? If I attack at Grist, I flash in the Subtlety, block the Yawgmoth, they put me down to 1, and I can't block both of them. If I attack at them, I put them down to 4. They attack back. I flash in, block the wolf. They have to sack something. Kill off one of my guys. They sack the Wolverines, kill off the Subtlety. The Channeler has to attack. I have a chance of top decking Lightning Bolt. And there's always the chance that they like start their turn. If first main phase, tick up the Grist. And we have a better chance. Eat a wolf. You sack the Grist. Sack the Haywire Might. Or I guess sack the Wolverines because you want 2 lethal attackers. Kill off one of my dudes. Sack a new halfling, sure. What do you think of this new card, Bitter Triumph, over, let's say, Shieldred's Edict and a Death Shadow Shell? We actually just got asked that. So, as soon as this game wraps up, something. Bolt. Into bolt. All right. We're going to take a bunch of looks at a bolt. Oh no. Fury. Fury. That would have been a pretty solid one. So let's go. Doesn't matter a ton. What do you got coming off the top? Attack in. Draw on their upkeep. See if it's a bolt. Do the stars align for our victory? Survey says they do not. No. All right. GG's. All right, so let's take a look at the new edict thing real quick. Staggered red cards, right? Like, okay. Bitter Triumph. 1 and a black is an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card, or pay 3 life. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. So the immediate comparison is Infernal Grasp that destroys a creature, you lose 2 life. So this gives you the benefit of hitting a creature or a planeswalker. Unlike Shieldred's Edict, it does target, so you don't have to worry about like pesky Dryad of the Elysian Groves stopping them from sacking a Primeval Titan, or Ragavans or Darcy's stopping the Murktide from getting killed. Ragavan or Dothy stopping the Evoked Fury from getting killed, whatever the case may be. The discard a card is better in most of the shadow decks than like exile a card would have been, since you do have the chance to buff up like a Murktide by ditching an instant or sorcery, or add to Delirium by ditching a missing card type. That being said, any card that you get a value from for ditching like live spells can be a little bit awkward. The pay 3 life, I think there's not a lot of times that paying 3 life for Bitter Triumph is just like outright worse than paying 2 life for Infernal Grasp. But having the option to discard a card instead of paying the life is better. It makes it a much more awkward top deck, because then you have to pay the 3 life unless you've just been like sandbagging lands or something. But it's better on like turn 2, especially if you're able to like discard a Kroxa or something. Discard something that's going to be impactful. How do I think it compares to Shieldred's Edict? I mean, is a Planeswalker removal spell... See, as a Death Shadow player, I always have lands in hand to bluff because of the flood. True. So, as a Planeswalker removal spell, it's worse than Edict, right? Because there's not that many times that your opponent has multiple Planeswalkers on the board and you're not just aggressively dead. So, Planeswalker removal spell, worse than Edict. Token removal spell, probably worse. Like, you're going to think of the number of times that your opponent's got like 2 Saga tokens out or something. But you could always like hit the one that's got or doesn't have summoning sickness before the new one comes down, which I think is the way it plays out the vast majority of times. Not really a lot of other tokens you really care about. Really only shines versus Cauldra. Talking about Edict, yeah. This doesn't deal with Sanctifier on Vec, and Edict does. That's a real consideration. Obviously, this is better when your opponent's got multiple creatures on board. I don't know. I think if you were playing Infernal Grasp because you wanted like targeted removal, then I think you probably swap to Bitter Triumph. If you're playing Shieldred's Edict to deal with like Sanctifier and Cauldra or stuff like that, then you probably keep playing Shieldred's Edict, because I don't think Bitter Triumph hits much that you weren't already hitting. Like I said, in the Planeswalker suite, Edict's probably better because it doesn't require you to ditch a card or pay the life. But with the creature side, I don't know. I don't feel like I run into that many times that my opponent's got like 3 creatures out and I can't deal with the thing I want to deal with. It happens from time to time, but not like an absurd amount. When it gave the old GLHF. So yeah, I think that's kind of how I'm feeling on it, is if you're playing Shieldred's Edict, you're probably not swapping. If you're playing the other one, then you Infernal Grasp, then you probably are. When it exiles an Unholy Heat. I assume they're on a scam variant. Pierce isn't terrible. Maybe we can hit like a Fable of the Mirror Breaker here. I kind of feel like I need to get my breeding pool just so they don't maybe exile it. All right, Bobbles okay. Kind of want the extra red mana. Yep. It's a lot of expressive iterations. I don't even said that's so many EIs. Not by choice. I promise you. On the bright side, them casting or dashing this Ragavan over and over again means they haven't really been able to, like, develop their board very much. That's a plus. Grief. Mm-hmm. Gonna take my Unholy Heat. Yep. They do love their treasure tokens. Kinda hoping for a removal spell. Alright, I think we're just gonna go to game 2. Grief, Ragavan. Decent chance at another Undying effect. Stern Scolding, Dress Down, Subtlety, Fury. Really care for Force. Trim on Ragavans. I'm on the play, so I kind of want to keep, like... I want to keep, too many Ragavans. One Rag. What's the reason you bolt there? I don't think there's reason to waste your treasure unless you're playing around Force. I mean, I'm guessing the F6 value. That would be my argument. Why bolt there? Because I want to F6 through the rest of the turn. Unless it was on the instep. Was it on the instep? Might have been. But I guess if Force Negation is a consideration, then it is technically correct to bolt there into turn instead of going to mine. Like, not too upset if they go for a scam here. I've got the Unholy Heat on top of the library. So if they take, like, Bolt Murktide or something, then I do just get to untap and have the heat. Probably what they're going to do. Yep. Debated. Love it when a good plan comes together. Mwahahaha. That's also why we put the land on top for the Preordain and drew into it, so they couldn't grief away our second removal spell. We are not going to fetch into turn and leave ourselves potentially open to a Bowman. Other heat's pretty solid. And go. EOT Bowman. Nope. We have a dashed Ragioli. Shock and pass. Am I about to get K commanded? I feel like I'm about to get K commanded. Ditch the spell snare if they do. Never saw it coming. Oh my god. Can you believe it? Ugh. Stern Scolding, Channeler on bottom, Counterspell to exile. How many lands is happened like 3 times already? 17. 17. Opponent has exiled a Dothy Voidwalker to evoke a grief. No follow-up. Yeah, I think I would prefer the 18th land. No, Mount Doom. I think I would prefer the 18th, and I think I would prefer some number of Ledger Shredders. My very professional opinion that everybody asked for. I am pinged. The race she is on. Yes, please. I think I'm supposed to attack in, pass, and then Questing Druid on their turn. I can hold up Unholy Heat if need be. Seek the Beast. Sure. What would you like? You like the thing that kills something or the thing that kills something? Old claim. Okay. So, attacking first. Pretty sweet turn. Get to go questing druid. Basic island. Preordained trigger questing druid. For everybody. We're all triggered. On top. Put on top. They go. Black Cleave Cliffs. Nice. On to game 3. It was so fun. We get to do it once more. Definitely don't want the extra rag. I wonder how long till we get back to playing Spikefield Hazard again. Kill opposing rags. Kill evoke stuff. Like they evoke and then the trigger on the stack, you Spikefield Hazard it so it gets exiled. I know we're going to hit a land. I believe. Opponent mulligan. They didn't believe. Opponent shocks in Blood Crypt and passes. Much as I want to do the same, I think I'm going to preordain. Okay. Right on time. Right on time. Knew it. No doubt in my mind. This is going to die. That is also going to die. Nice. Go. You. You say go. I should send him a message back and just be like, that's a lot of Ragavans. They said I had a lot of... You get it. Part of me wants to just play a 7/7 Murktide. Probably a bit greedy. I think not really that greedy, right? the Bowmaster, get the spell snare, do all this before block so I can decide if I want to block. I probably do. All right, we got another steam vents, Murktide for approximately $1 billion, give or take. Terminate would be pretty solid from them. Nope. Scoop into the Murktide. GG's. But it said, GG's, I kept a terrible hand. I understand that. Been there more times than I can count. On to match numero quattro. All right, what do we got? I haven't seen many beanstalks recently, so wouldn't be shocked if we ran into one of those decks. Honestly, a bunch of stuff I haven't seen recently. Kind of deciding if I want to play like a Pioneer League after this. I know Kevin would be thrilled to hear that. I'd love to play first. I really don't know what I would play. That's been like my biggest issue with Pioneer is I just don't have a clue what I want to play in Pioneer. So, opponent reveals Gigantha. Quick mulligan to 6. So, Tron. 100% Tron. Couldn't be anything else. Like, there's a Rogues deck. That's pretty cool. But it's basically just Rogues with, like, Shieldred. That's a little less exciting. That Gruul deck I played the other day was pretty fun. Started playing Rakdos mid-range and Pioneer, got bored. Currently building Transmogrify. Not sure if I'm going Rakdos, Izzet, or Grixis with it. Yeah, I played a few leagues way back with Rakdos. And it just felt like the most dull Magic deck I'd played in a while. Like, obviously the deck is very good. Nobody's questioning that. But every game just kind of felt like, okay, I play Dirtily 1-drop into Dirtily 2-drop into Dirtily 3-drop into get back a Croxa, and it's just the same thing like over and over and over again. And it got really dull really quick. All right. So my immediate thought is that this is like another Temur deck that's just playing like all in on questing druid instead of Murktide and whatnot. Just the immediate thought. But like, there's a whole bunch of cool cards in Pioneer that I would really like to cast, but I don't know enough about the format yet to know if they're at all possible or if I'm just like way out in right field and everything I want to play is completely unplayable. So that's kind of part of the reason I've been dipping my toes in the format, is to see, okay, what's actually like halfway okay, what could be possible. It's just Zoo. It is in fact just Zoo. Flip that into the yard and get Delirium online. So that's pretty fun. Not really sure if I'm supposed to be trading off Ragavan or not. Probably doesn't matter that much. Okay. I'm very glad that that was a Neshoba Brawler and not a Scion of Draco. See what they got. If their hand's just like bolts and tribal flames, we've got a reasonable shot. Dash Monkey. Trade off monkeys. Might have another white source for a Leyline binding. Nope. We're dead in the air to my creature that has to attack. Okay. I couldn't miss this attack if I wanted to. Literally. The rules of Dragon's Rage Channeler would not allow it. Okay. Zoo. Blood Moon's fine. Dress Down's really good against Kavu. Subtlety, Fury are both okay. Maybe EE. On the draw, Ragavan looks pretty bad into like everything they can possibly do. Force looks bad. I kind of want like some number of EEs between Chain to the Rocks and I guess it's only really Chain to the Rocks that hits. Maybe I won't bring in the EE. Roll like this. Am I doing a Pioneers League after this? I think I am. I'm just kind of deciding on what I wanted to play. Doing Dimir Flash in Modern. Ballsy. I was just looking at Dimir Rogues and Pioneer. Kaito's a card I really enjoy casting, so I wouldn't mind playing a Kaito deck. But I'm pretty sure Dimir's like awful into some of the top stuff. Dogfish, what's up? Turn one Ragioli. See what's on top, because if I see like a lightning bolt or a heat on top, I'd rather do that than Channeler. We got the Bowman. Yep. It's one of the reasons I always hate the arguments from people about like, oh, Ragavan's so easy to deal with. Just play interaction. And it's like, I got 7 or so pieces of 1 mana interaction in here, but there's still a reasonable chance you just don't see it. And if you don't see it, Ragavan runs away with games. The issue with Pioneer is that it's too balanced. If there are 1 or 2 top decks, you can tech against them, but you can't go rogue and tech against all 7 tier 1 decks that share similar cuts of the meta. At least with Modern, I can tech against Scam and know I'll do all right going rogue. Well, that's part of it. Like, not being able to tech is relevant, but at the same time, like, for somebody like me coming in with little to no knowledge of the format, I just don't know, like, what I should be concerned about, what's too fast, what's not fast enough, what I can get away with, what I can't get away with. Don't really want to counter this, but I kind of feel like I just need to cast cards. Nope. Nope. Rag into Bowmaster and to steal 2 creatures off my library. Veil of Summer. Not beating that. Does get a little bit better for us on the play, though. See, Boros, Convoke, Phoenix, and Rakdos are the most prominent decks right now with some mono green. Rakdos deals with the fast decks easier, like Convoke and Phoenix, but those two are just able to go over and get underneath mono green due to the limited interaction. Rakdos Sack's another deck you see. Yeah, I saw a little bit of Rakdos Sack. It was a pretty good hand. It looked cool. But I dream of a world where I get to play, what's that card? The 1 blue-black 2/2 flyer that hits them, and you get to flip over 3 cards off the top of their library. You exile one of them face down, you can play it, and then the other 2 go to their graveyard. My God, what's the name? Thief of Sanity. Yes. Thank you. That's the card like I want to play in Pioneer. And I don't care if it's bad. That's not the point. Just as it's Pioneer legal and I'm never going to get to cast it in Modern, so Thief of Sanity was a huge Standard player. Huge Standard player. Got the turn 1 Ragioli. So let's go with Unholy Heat on their turn. I can pay for Stubborn Denial. We have double Stubborn Denial. That's fine. They're like spending 2 Stubborn Denials to deal with my 1 turn. I guess they could have Spell Pierce. Seen Pierce show up a little bit in Zoo List. Okay. Say go. Kind of surprised they would like just play in a Coddle instead of one of the good 2-drops they've got. I want to play Dimir Flash called Slitherwisp is so good. Slitherwisp is like the 2-drop that draws when you play something with Flash, right? Or 3-drop that does something like that. Yeah. 3-drop, Flash. Whenever you cast another spell that has Flash, you draw a card and each opponent loses 1 life. Pretty solid. Thought that might bait the Bowmaster. Looks like it's not. Not quite so good when you don't have abilities. We'll go and bottom, exile, just pass. Yeah, just pass, hold up, counter spell. Flash as an archetype could have legs in Pioneer, honestly. I wouldn't be shocked. Like, I played Blue-Red Flash in Standard when it was Brineborn Cutthroat, and it was really, really fun. Okay, I only have 2 mountains, so this last one doesn't really matter. So how do I want to do this? Is there any way that I can Blood Moon plus Murktide? Only if I like double shock? I could just go for a hard cast Fury. So I'd have to go down to 7 to Blood Moon. Am I better off just going basic island, Murktide, tap Spire Bluff Canal, go and plan on... Yeah, I think that's going to be my play. Basic island, play Murktide, tap Spire Bluff Canal, hold up counter spell, go. And then next turn have Blood Moon plus counterspell if I still need it. Because while they don't have white mana up right now, they can't reprieve, they can't leyline binding. Bolt me in the face. Sure. Get your bolts out of your system now. Unless you just have like 2 more bolts. So Blood Moon. Spell Snare the Bowmaster. Resolve the Blood Moon. Play out another rag for the heck of it. Say go. And hope they don't have double lightning bolt right here. Think I can beat everything else. Pop you. If they had double lightning bolt, they would have cast it on my turn. So I am under the assumption now that they do not have it. Curse is fine. They might have one. I feel like they probably have one if they were firing off that other one. Nice. Spell Snare, the Modern All-Star now. Answer some of the most pivotal cards for 1 mana. I think it's better than it has been previously. Like, Beanstalk definitely gave it a pretty nice boost. But I don't know if I would call it an all-star yet. I think that Spell Pierce is still better. Because, like, let's go to the modern metagame. If we're just going down the line, like, Spell Snare hits Dolthy and Bowmasters and Terminate. Pierce hits Terminate, Fable, Thoughtseize effects, Undying effects on one. Pierce is a lot worse against Yawgmoth. But at the same time, Snare only hits like Bowmaster, Bowmaster, Wall of Roots, Cauldron, Strangleroot Geist. Against the 4-color decks, Snare hits. If you're non-bean, Snare hits Expressive Iteration. If you are bean, it hits Teferi, Beanstalk off a Cascade. Can maybe hit Leyline Binding on turn 2. Hits Teferi, hits Renin 6. Snare hits Renin 6. Against Rhinos, Pierce hits Rhinos, which is pretty big. They're both pretty awful against Amulet Titan, but Pierce hits Amulet. Seems okay. Am I supposed to subtlety this? It's like my concern is going down 2 cards, obviously. If I let this resolve and they like I play out a Ragavan pass, they Bowmaster and I subtlety the Bowmaster, it feels better. But if they go terminate, then it's pretty bad. So I think I'm going to subtlety. Well, I'm not in the exact same spot. They put it on the bottom. Like if I don't subtlety there, then I'm in a really bad spot if they have a removal spell, like actual removal spell, and get to hit me with the Ragavan. It's close. If this was Bowmasters and this was like all they had, then holding on to the subtlety would have been better. Let's see if this has legs. Let's see what this is. Temur Flash, Thieves Guild, Brineborn, Mastermind, Night Bonder. Is there a reason for Thieves Guild outside of just like helping to turn on Drown in the Lock? I mean, without like the rest of the Rogues package. I kind of wonder if it does enough. Quite a few Rogues. Give me 1 second, we'll get back to the list. Try to take this Dolphy hit. Assume they're just on Bowmaster here. So let's go. I don't know if I want to play out the second Channeler. Little bit afraid of just like a Fury ruining my day. Yeah. Sneezing up a storm. Teferi's banned in Pioneer, right? 3 mana Teferi. You have another Bowmaster. I get to take my my counter spell off the top. Just play Chandler say go. You have a spell snare. So like going back to the flash deck here. Cunning Night Bonder seems like just not a good card. I'd probably cut that. I mean, like, the whole purpose of being a flash deck is to be good against counter spells. So adding can't be countered against a deck that's just like all counter spells anyway. Doesn't feel all that relevant. I want to sack off that Dothy. Lower cost effect isn't relevant either. Why are we playing the card then? Alright, so all we need to do is find Delirium here, right? Just find Delirium. Delirium. Maybe. Not Delirium. Not Delirium, but deals with grief and gives 2 more looks. Not Delirium. Delirium. Thank you. Okay. Nice. Is Utopia Sprawl in Pioneer? I don't think it is. I think Utopia Sprawl was like, what, Guild Pact, and then like a Modern Masters set, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Get rid of some rags on the draw. Get rid of force. I want EE. I think I did like this last time. Didn't feel bad about it. MTG Utopia Sprawl. Gatherer, Utopia Sprawl, sets and legality. It is not legal in Pioneer. How you supposed to merfolk in Pioneer with no Sprawl and no Vial? Elvish Mystic. Got him. Checkmate. Any other terrible questions you got? Lame. Lame. Bet they take the unholy heat. Got me. Play the shitty 2-color mana base like everyone else. I mean, that does check out. Snare is gone. Now we find Island. I think I'm gonna fire off one of these iterations just to draw a card. Not the most thrilling use of an iteration, but here we are. Stealthy Voidwalker. So let's go Dress Down, remove the ability off Dolthy, kill it off, Dress Down, go into the yard, adds our third type. Danny, what's up? We're stumbling through a little Temur Murktide, trying to see how this deck wins. Haven't found the answer yet. I say that, we're like 3-1 this league. It's not bad. Down to 2 cards, you say. Two cards. I feel like one of them's another Undying Effect, because they waited till turn 2 to go for the grief and had the extra mana. I feel like there's another Undying Effect. Definitely want access to a Bolt. And I'm going to assume the last card's not another, or not a Bowmaster. Man. Mike, you idiot. How did you let them get you so badly? Oh. Take the extra land. So I'm going to 8, down to 2, 1. But 1 is not dead, last I checked. Playing some 4-color today, 2 leagues, can't lose. That sounds about right for that deck, right? Okay, 1's not dead, but it is pretty dang close. Yeah, it is a rolled token, which puts us pretty unalive. So if I go Channeler, Bolt, Preordain, nothing. Every other land I have, I'd have to fetch at least. Oh. Hold myself. Got it. My heart. TBR plus haste the Merc. I don't have enough mana to. I'd play out the Merc, I'd TBR it, and I don't have the mana for haste. I don't have another painless way of getting mana. What I mean by that is I totally would if I could. Bring some number of rags back in. Over what? Channelers. That. Ugh. Yeah, don't dare me to bolt myself. I absolutely will. We're out here for a good time. We're not here for a long time. Hand slaps. Hand slaps. Look at all the stuff we get to do. I might even consider turn 1, or not consider preordain. This thing, this cantrip that I've got access to. Yeah, go check out the YouTube channel. We're up to 960-ish subscribers. 963. We got to get up to 1,000 so we can monetize the YouTube and start playing more Magic. At least that's the argument I'm going with. Opponent rolls a 6. I could hold up Bolt or Pierce to help deal with the turn 1 scam threat. But I think I'm going to be greedy and preordain. No, that was very, very greedy, but we'll be okay. That's what I'm saying. Have subtlety. Who cares? What's opponent going to do? Cast something? Psh. What are you going to do? Thought seize me? Psh. You never cared about a thought seize in my life. Take my subtlety. You got it. Something good. Something better than that. At least we got counterspell, so the bad scam player can't hurt you if you've got counterspell. Dolthy Voidwalker. Dolthy Void, sit down. Breeding pool, so I can say that's somewhere. Something good. Give me something good. Hmm? Hmm? All right, let's stop drawing lands, please. We kept our 2. I greedily preordained 1 to the top. Now we need fewer of them. Something good. Why am I so sure they have a Bowmaster? Why do I just know it in every fiber of my being that there's a Bowmaster? my God, there's not a Bowmaster. I mean, of course there's not a Bowmaster. They never have the Bowmaster. I kind of want Stern Scolding. I don't care too much about Unholy Heat. I think we're going to bottom that, top that. They don't know about this Steam Vents yet, so. But I feel like they're going to go for a hard cast Grief here, and I get to Stern Scolding it. Feel like a genius. Are you ready for this? Oh, nope, never mind. Okay. Expressive Iteration. Expressive Iteration. Expressive Iteration. Is that what? 4 lands we've seen? And 5 draws in a preordain? Expressive Iteration. Hiya. Hiya. Bottom, top. Hiya. Hiya. We take those. Where's my butterfly man meme? Is this Storm? Is this value? All right. Seek the Beast. Yes. Yes, we're valuing. Okay. Questing Druid. Expressive Iteration. Trigger. Are you thinking about a Grief or a Bowman? Trigger. Kinda rude. We still have an expressive iteration to resolve down here somewhere. Hand. Bottom. Exile. Play the Strand so I can play the Channeler and hold up Stern Scolding for this, what I'm only assuming is a hard cast Grief. Could be anything. Could be... sure. Channeler dead. Bum, bum, bum. 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 Here's a Murktide Regent. This is my opponent exiling all the other instants and sorceries in my graveyard. Hidetsugu seems like overboarding. I think I agree. Like, you've just got Terminates and maybe Hearse and something to bring in. I don't think you really need that much more. Six. Hidetsugu seems like overboarding. What are we considering Chalice of the Void as well? That's about right. It's always good when they hit these things in like this right order going down the stretch. We hit the 1-drops after the Chalice hits. Do you have any ways of dealing with this? Like a really big questing druid. Like, I think if they... Oh, man. I was gonna say, I think if they fire off Bowmaster, we're supposed to just, like, throw Stern Scoldings at it like nobody's business, just to get the cards in the yard in case we find another Murktide. You feel like you were scammed or revoked to this game? I'm gonna lean towards scammed. Gonna lean towards scammed. If I had to be honest here. Yoink. Yoink. Aha. Let's see. Basic Feels and Vixay, thank y'all so much for the follows. Hope you're having awesome Thursdays wherever you're at in the world. Even if you get a laugh out of our suffering here. It's totally intentional. Feels good. Where's your Brazen Barber for the bad matchup? I mean, is this really a bad matchup, or did my opponent just kind of wander into this weird sequence that worked out really well? I mean, they ended up having to have like double terminate plus Hidetsugu, which the Hidetsugu didn't really do anything, but double terminate into Chalice or with a Chalice in there. Yeah, like it was a sequence that had to work out a specific way. It did work out, but it doesn't feel like that reliable of a sequence. So look at our pity pack. Little Asmarano Mordecai Stina Kuldakar, you say. On the bright side, at least it's like one of the retro border Asmarano Mordecai Stina Kuldakars. It's not like one of those funky new border Asmarano Mordecai Stina Kuldakars. Like their shiny outline and it's got the what's it called? What was that set? Planar Chaos style border. Okay, what do we think of Temur Murktide? What were our losses to? We lost to Scam and we lost to Yawgmoth. Yawgmoth match was pretty close. Just needed a top deck bolt. So, all right, the two biggest things I felt from this league, and if y'all saw something similar, let me know. If you saw something completely different, I would love to know as well. One, I really missed having more than 2 Murktide and being able to close out games. 2, really missed having more than 2 Lightning Bolt. Again, to be able to close out games. And these are like spots that Questing Druid's taking. And 3, the 17 lands felt really light to me. There was like a game or two that we kind of flooded a bit, but there were a lot more games where we were having to aggressively cantrip trying to find lands instead of cantripping to like keep the gas coming or something like that. So I don't feel like Questing Druid is solving, I don't feel like it's making your good matchups, or I don't feel like it's making your bad matchups better. I feel like it's just making your good matchups better and maybe kind of slanting things on your even matches. But did Questing Druid's creature side have an impact in the matches? Not really. Like, we played a Murktide opponent early where we got it up to like a 5-5 or something, but they had an Unholy Heat. A lot of times we didn't have the breeding pool. I could have gotten it earlier, but then I would have been cut off of double red, and that felt more important at that time. So that's something to keep in mind. See, what is the cursed totem on the sideboard? It's basically for like any of the matchups that would be playing Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Really good against like Hardened Scales, stopping Zabaz and Arcbound Ravager and that stuff. It's good against the Yawgmoth deck, stops all the activated abilities of the Mana Dorks, of Yawgmoth, Walking Ballista or Fulminator, whatever, with Soul Cauldron, stops that. Really not a lot of other matchups in Modern that it's too useful against. Elves. But stuff like that. Point of Questing Druids just to have ADI. It is, and I don't really feel like that's necessary. I think the 4 EI is kind of fine. And the extra EIs don't really matter too much if you still have to dig through over half your deck or whatever to find a real threat. Subtlety overperformed. I was really impressed with Subtlety. Subtlety, great. Fury, I felt a little low on red cards for Fury. That could have just been like the missing lightning bolts. Something like that. The extra Ragavan. But it did feel like I had Fury a lot with like triple blue card. And I had to throw away an expressive iteration or something if I wanted to Fury. So, let's see. Hi, Michael. Are you going to play some GDS now? What do you think about using DRC and or Ledger Shredder to fuel Croxa that you always say solve a lot of games? So, as far as Grixis goes, Ledger Shredder, I do think, we kind of talked about it towards the beginning of that league because I was kind of missing